In the following virtual meeting, you can see one way to create your norms agreement using our customizable template. In this example, my field team and I are meeting on Zoom about a month before our field campaign is set to start. Recall from the last video that it is helpful if there is a designated facilitator for this process. I'm serving in the facilitation role not as the principal investigator or group lead, but as a contributing member of this field team. So whoever the facilitator is, they need to be explicit about when they are speaking as a facilitator versus when they are providing input as a team member. Hello, everyone. Thanks for making time to meet today to develop our team's norms agreement to prepare for our upcoming field campaign in the Eastern Alaska Range, which I'm super excited about. The norms agreement is going to make up an important part of our code of conduct, and it's important that everyone is involved in its development. To help make this process efficient, we're going to use a customizable norms agreement form from Advancing Field Safety as a starting point for our discussion. It's a list of topics that regularly come up in field science teams as they're developing their norms agreements. And we can take any of the topics out that we feel are not important for our group, and we can add new ones as well. So really, it's like for us to make bespoke to our team. I've just shared the link in the chat, so you can open the document up on your computer, or you can just follow along. Okay, so here's the process that I typically follow with using this format. You'll see that there's several categories like communication, expedition mentality, so on and so forth. I'll give you a minute at the beginning of each of those categories to read through the whole list of the topics in that category, so you can get a sense for the scope of issues that are being brought up within that category. And then you can consider what maybe feels important to you. We'll then circle back to each of the topics within the category, and I'll ask for your input on what we want to include or not, and then we can discuss it and define it a little bit further. Are there any questions at this stage? Okay, great. It looks like we're ready to start. So the first category is communication. This is such a critical aspect for successful field teams. So let's take a minute to familiarize yourself with the list of topics in this category. Okay, let's dive in. So the first topic is to allocate protected time and space for group communication. Does this resonate with anyone? Do you feel it's important for our group culture? And like, have you experienced campaigns that did this really well, or that, maybe you learned something, you observed something you want to explicitly avoid in our team? Cool. Yeah. So awesome. I see a lot of nodding and thumbs up. Does anyone want to elaborate on what this could look like for our field team, and specifically how we can meet the expectations related to this topic for our group? Oh yeah, Patrick, thanks for raising your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I find it super helpful to have a daily meeting to get a plan for the day and to understand what the expectations are of me for that day.
Sweet, that's a nice idea. That sounds really helpful. Okay, so why don't I just draft a statement that says we hold a daily morning meeting to get a plan for the day, and to convey what the expectations are of individuals for that day. I like this specifically how you included important aspects in that you want to be a part of this discussion, like you want to know what you want to communicate and also what the goal is for the meeting. Thoughts from others about this?
I like the morning meeting idea. I think it would also be kind of beneficial if we had an evening meeting.
Thanks for that, Emily. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you don't mind, let's start with the morning meeting and we'll circle back to that in a moment.
For the morning meeting, I think it'd be good if we specify that we're going to revisit any new risk management considerations that come up, either due to changing weather or to a new site.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we will be changing camps often and sampling sites too. So there'll be new terrain. Of course, weather's always changing. Group dynamics are always evolving. So yeah, risks are a bit of a moving target. Let's see, does this capture what you're thinking, Caleb? To front load or review risk management considerations? And we could also potentially highlight new risks, or reiterate ongoing major risks, like if we want to make sure they're always at front of mind for everyone.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
Cool. Anything else? What about logistics? Like when does this morning meeting happen?
Well, I think it would be really helpful to set the time the night before so we can all kind of plan our morning routines and any tasks we need for the day and still be on time for the meeting.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. So, okay, I'm drafting the timing for the morning meeting will be set the night before at dinner. Does this work for everyone, or do we prefer a preset time?
As opposed to setting a regular time for a meeting, I like setting it the night before. This feels more flexible, which is nice given each day is different. This way, the morning meeting timing can cater to the task of the day.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, taking my facilitator hat off for a moment and speaking as a team member, it also makes sense to me to share the responsibility for who plans and runs the meetings around the group. Um, what do you think about designating a facilitator at the same time as we set a time?
I like that. It shares the responsibility and it shares the voice for the meetings. I think it's important that we all have a voice. Plus, it gives me personally and all of us personally a chance to work on our facilitation skills in general.
In principle, I like the idea, but this is my first time in the field, and I'm worried I might be overwhelmed with all the new things going on. I've never facilitated a meeting like this. Can we opt out if we're uncomfortable?
Yeah, that's fair. What do y'all think about that idea?
Yeah, I feel the same as Ayla. I'm also new to this and I'm not sure I'm up for that.
All right. So why don't we acknowledge that the kind of rotated role as facilitator is optional, and we could set up a set rotation, and you can opt out of your site if you feel like you want to opt out, and then the role would just go to the next person in the rotation.
Can everyone work with this? Yeah, okay. So why don't I'll amend the statement to say the facilitator role will be rotated around the group. And if the designated facilitator chooses to opt out, the rotation is continued to the next person. Okay. To the next person. Cool. I like that. Great. Are there any other thoughts about group communication? Should we circle back now to Emily's earlier suggestion about a time later in the day to regroup? Emily, can you elaborate a little bit more now on your earlier thought?
Yeah, of course. I think I like to plan on evening meetings so we can respond to events or issues that happened earlier during the day.
Yeah, nice. Sometimes we call that a debrief. The debrief gives us a place to review what happened during the day and to address any issues. It can be technical processes, interpersonal issues. It just creates a protected space to make sure that all of those things get dealt with. Should we use the term debrief here to describe that evening meeting for our field campaign? Does that work for you? Okay, sweet. We'll do that.
And then also I was thinking like as a starting point, we could describe the evening meeting in our agreement to say something along the lines, kind of like, we will aim for a daily debrief after the day's activities to review what happened, to address issues and have a place of reflection on group processes, interpersonal dynamics and environmental observations.
Nice. Anything else here?
Also, as we did with the morning meeting, let's specify timing and who's running the meeting.
Yeah, definitely. When do we want this to happen as a default?
Well, the obvious time is every evening after everyone's back from their field work, so we can make sure to catch everybody, but also not get sidetracked with our camp chores, making dinner, and preparing for the next day.
I feel like that makes sense, but what about really busy days or when we have a long field day and don't get back until late, or when everyone is really hungry and not able to focus on discussion?
Yeah, good point. I think ideally this is a protected space where we're not really trying to double task, but on exception, I guess we could consider debriefing over dinner. I know that's not ideal.
I think on super hectic days, potentially we could push the debrief back to the morning meeting time. But like keeping it really focused so it doesn't take over that morning communication space. I think on rare occasions, that's okay if we do that, but I don't want to make a habit out of it. I kind of really feel attached to maintaining a daily debrief, even if it's short,
Yeah, I mean, those all sound like reasonable concerns and suggestions.
I appreciate that. I am pretty attached to doing a debrief on the same day. I feel like it helps us deal with things as they come up and uh, look at things while the details are fresh. It doesn't let anything get pushed aside during a morning meeting either when we're in a rush to get on to the day's new topics.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid too. Any other comments?
So I wasn't gonna mention anything, but actually I do feel pretty strongly that we should wait until after dinner so that everyone is in a good place to be focused and good listeners. That makes me feel more ready to engage in a debrief myself. And when everyone is patient and focused, it makes me a lot less anxious about speaking up in a group.
If we do it post dinner timing, I think another perk is that it also kind of gives me a minute to reflect on the day before, needing to communicate it with others. And then I think sometimes it also takes me a minute to process everything.
Also, a perfect time to sip a cup of hot chocolate with a debrief.
Nice. I like that. I'm all about hot drinks too, Patrick. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I can live with that, but we need to keep a close eye on the efficiency of our end-of-day tasks and dinner so that it doesn't spool out into the late night. I really don't work well after about 8:30 or 9. My brain kind of stops working well.
Me too. I'm not much of a night owl.
Yeah, in order for me to feel comfortable with this schedule, I'd really like us to buy into some general efficiency for wrapping up the day and cooking and our personal tasks. Does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Maybe we set a default time of like 8 p.m. So then we all kind of have that set time we're working towards and get in a bit of a routine. We can also adjust in the field if it's not a realistic daily expectation or on a daily basis, maybe if the group got back super late, especially. And then we can just make sure that that time change is communicated with everyone so everyone can kind of plan their day around that and pivot their experience.
Yeah, I mean that sounds really good. I've edited the statement to read, we'll aim for a daily debrief after the day's activities to review what happened, to address any issues, and to have a place of reflection on group processes, interpersonal dynamics, and environmental observations. Target timing is 8 p.m. every evening after dinner. Unexpected rescheduling should be communicated as early as possible. Does that sound good, everyone? Can I get twinkle fingers or thumbs up? Yeah. Okay, cool. I think this is a really strong framework to outline our needs around group communication spaces. Is there anything else on your minds on this topic, or are we okay to move on? Good. Okay. Let's keep rolling. This meeting demonstrates how the process of developing a norms agreement can look using the Advancing Field Safety customizable template. You keep working your way through the topics one by one. And again, if one of the prompts doesn't seem relevant, just delete it and move on. Using facilitated group discussion to build from this outline is a way to create specificity in your norms agreement without having to go from the ground up. It doesn't have to be time-consuming, but you do want to be thorough and to capture aspects that can impact individual experiences. So give it the time and space that it deserves. A reminder that you can find this customizable outline in the Advancing Field Safety Toolbox. We hope that this is a helpful resource for creating efficiency, productivity, and thoroughness in developing norms agreements in the lead up to a busy field season or campaign.